Here we go, guys. Exciting. It's okay. You're probably exactly where you're meant to be, Sandra. I was running 1 minute late. I just got a text from Sandra, so I'm expecting her to pop up any second. So this is very exciting, guys. My angels are literally doing like cartwheels and stuff. They're so excited. Oh my gosh. As soon as Sandra gets on here, I'll tell you the preparation they made me make, especially for this particular one. Sandra this is her first time doing this, so let's just see. Sandra's not in there yet, so let's just see. And then, hello Dale, my darling. So Sandra just texted me, Empress Evolution, yes. So let's just bear with her. I'm gonna just text her back, if I can. So stay there, guys, okay? Okay, so hopefully, oh my God, there's just so much gorgeousness here. Hello, June, darling. And I've got Pooja here. Who else have I got? Yes, nothing is happening, Sandra. So Sandra, I'm not sure how best to advise her. Lindsay, if you're watching, if you want to text her, because we're here. So Lindsay, give me a thumbs up if you're watching. I didn't see your name yet. Are you up? I think you are here. Yes, you are. Lindsay, give me a thumbs up. I know you're here, Lindsay. Do you want to text Sandra and tell her where to go in case because she texted me before I went live. So I wasn't on when she texted me, so that might be why she couldn't see it. But Lindsay, if you want to call her or text her, that would be best, and I'll just stay here and patiently wait, and that way you can talk her through it. That's probably the best thing for me to do. So in the meantime, girls, well, I'll tell you about some of my prep. So this happened once before. Maybe you guys will remember which live it was. But literally 30 minutes before the live, my angels were like, right, go and have a frankincense salt bath right now. And I'm like, that's not really a great time. They're like, now. So I jumped in the bath, dunked my head, put a bit too much frankincense oil in there, felt a bit of heat around my legs, but it's okay now. And that is why I have wet hair in braids. I couldn't decide whether to just leave it wet and dangling or to put it in braids, but it's wet. It's sopping wet. Anyway, I was told the reason for this is that this is a very high vibrational live that we're about to do. And they, where we are now in the chat, where is that? Yes, so she's here. She's watching me. Okay. So Sandra, do you see below? Actually, I'm going to let Lindsay tell you maybe. But I should see there's some smiley faces down the bottom, or it should ask you if you want to go live with me. Oh, you're here. You're here. You did it. You did it. There. We're going to see you right now. Yay!
We did it.
Excellent teamwork.
Three blondes, and we managed to do it.
I know. It's a bit special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Jane. As well, I saw Jane there. Oh, well, I was just telling everybody, and I don't know if you saw me saying it, that my angels made me, they made me get in the shower. I've got wet hair, but they said they didn't want me to pay attention to anything 3D before our call.
Fantastic. And you know what? The wet hair and the braids looks brilliant anyway, so it's just not a problem on you, sweetheart.
Thank you. I feel a bit like a kid. So anyone that doesn't know, I am 41 years old. I'm actually a grown-up. I just don't look like it.
Well, this is what happens when you deal with fairy pixie angels, you see. You get this jubilant little girl feel about you until the day you decide to leave your body, by the way. So I would stop apologizing for it because people will get used to it.
Yes. And of course, look at you. You're just like glowing. We all want to be like you when we grow up. So
you keep working at it, babe. That's all you have to do.
Absolutely. I know Lindsay is so excited right now. I can feel her heart pounding. Can you? I can literally feel it.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Lindsay. I mean, you know, to have all of this beautiful global gathering of these incredible women who actually, I can actually feel the high consciousness of the women that you are gathering together. And
it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Lindsay has already joined 2 of our 3-day live events. And so she's like very, very, very expanded. And that's the type of person you're bringing in. So
yeah, I feel so blessed. I really do. Like every day, the coordinators shock me with just who they are. Like this morning, I came across a very, very, very advanced site, and I saw one of my coordinators on there, and it was another coordinator that had sent it to me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm not surprised to see you two here.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, just be aware that not everyone's ready for this stuff yet, but it's interesting to see you here. And it's like God just steered my hand when we chose the coordinators, and it was chosen perfectly. It's quite amazing, really.
Yeah, don't you just love the way God works? And you know, if there are people on this call at the moment who don't love the word God, that's perfectly fine. Just replace it with the word love. So love knows what it's doing.
Yes, yes, yes. I love and God about the same.
Me too, because they are the same.
Exactly. I can't differentiate. Wow. So I don't even know where to start. I've got a lot of my prep stuff here. I've got my singing bowl and my sage and things, just because, like I said, they just wanted me to be so high vibe for you. My angels literally are bowing. So anyone who wants to know what my angels are doing, they're behaving and bowing right now, guys. So, which, as you know, is quite unusual for them. I have clients that they've done Moonies for. They've been so silly. Like literally, they're like silly little kids. But with Sandra, they are bowing.
Thank you.
It was Shannon, my global coordinator. They did a Moonie and a little dance because they thought it was funny. So, you know. Okay, so I know, again, I don't know whether you want these things, but I just want to just make sure I purify the energy everywhere first. I've just got my my sage and rosemary as well here. Just want to make sure everything is just wonderful. My dog's being a good boy and hiding and sitting there asleep, which is nice. Everyone's behaving for you, Sandra.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it's nice. I like it. Maybe you can come live with me and my dog will be good then. Gosh. So our subject today is wholeness. And we haven't, because of how learned myself and Sandra are, we didn't need to kind of rehearse anything. We're just going to have a chat. And Sandra's going to bless us all with some of her knowledge about this. And it's just wonderful to have everyone here. So I almost feel like I wish we had the three of us on here so Lindsay could do the introduction. But I'll do the best I can. And that is that Lindsay has been talking about Sandra from the day she came on as the California coordinator. And I checked out Sandra's work right away when she asked me to, told me to. You know, Lindsay doesn't mess around. So I checked it out, and straight away I was like, these people are right, they're correct, their information is absolutely on point and 100%, and they're amazing. And then that was just my opinion, and then I carried on with trying to organize the community. And then Lindsay said, I must get you two together. And I was like, you know what, it's the right time now. So me and Sandra got on the phone. She could see my angels, she could see their naughty little selves, and we decided we would go ahead. And that's it. So I know there's so many of your fans watching and they can't wait for you to get started. So I hand over to you, my darling.
Well, I just want to say thank you, obviously, to Lindsay and to you for listening to your angels, because, you know, everybody has a connection. We all have the same spiritual DNA. We all are the same energy vibration, and our frequency is different because of our thoughts. But the fact is that we all have access, and not everybody listens. And so obviously, Amelia, love, the perfect name for you, to listen and to then go, okay, I'm listening and I'm sharing. So my very first thing is thank you, just from everybody on the planet right now. Thank you. And I think when you decided you wanted to talk about wholeness, I'm just going to do a bit of a backtrack here, because right from the very beginning of my life, I have understood that enlightenment was the only thing that was going to stop suffering, mine, yours, and the whole world. And I knew that when I turned 18, because at the age of 18, I had a devastating experience, and my right ovary burst and I was dying.
I had the same thing happen twice, and we didn't discuss that. I had the same thing happen twice. Carry on.
Discussed it, right? So my right ovary completely burst. It was a cyst that had eaten the ovary, and the whole thing just went. And I was in a small country town in Australia, and they couldn't find a surgeon. So 9 hours later, I was what you would say almost gone. And you'll get a kick out of this though. The surgeon, an older surgeon, comes in and just looks at my stomach and says, "Oh, it's such a shame to cut open this beautiful young stomach." And I'm there going, would only a man say that, or what? When, you know, this person's dying and you're talking like that. So I actually said to him, "Well, don't. I'm actually fine the way I am. I don't have to have the surgery." Now, my auntie and my mum were in the hallway and they heard me, and my mother was like, "Okay, this is not happening. You know, this can't be happening." And of course, because she was so devastated, I agreed that I would have the surgery, but I actually thought, no, it doesn't matter. I'll have it because I'm going to stay in this space because I know I'm going to die anyway, because I was so far gone. But I knew, I'll take you through what was happening, because a lot of you will have this experience now without the death experience. And this is really important. And one of the reasons why I do the work I do is so that you don't have to go through 40 years sitting in a cave or a mountaintop meditating, and you don't have to have a drastic accident or almost die to actually have an enlightenment experience. So
yeah. Or in my case, Sandra, spend 4 years in bed in agony and your whole body is like a torture chamber, to the point where you disconnect your soul from your physical body.
Okay, exactly, darling. So you don't have to do that, okay? So I went into a place of peace. Now, to everybody listening to this, peace is your natural state. This is not something that's elusive. It is our natural state when we don't have the ego mind and unconscious programs ruining it for us, right? So, and obviously I was in this place of love. It was like, oh, whoa. I was love. I was God. I was that energy, because love is not an emotion. You're not in love with your parents or another or a partner. You are love, and you share that love. And that's a very big difference for people. And I hope you guys just got that. I was love. And I was very aware. There was an awareness going on that I was aware of every single person in the hospital. I was actually aware of every person on the planet. It was like, okay, what is this? This was like a new experience. And I completely trusted that what I was going through was absolutely perfect and everything was going to unfold as it should. Live, die, whatever it was perfect. And there was an integrity to this. And this is a very important part, because integrity is about wholeness. Integrity is not just about, you know, knowing what's right and having the courage to follow through. I learned in that moment that integrity was about wholeness. It was about having your body, mind, and soul powerfully aligned with each other. And it was in such integrity. It was so whole and complete. I was just whole and complete. And I was neutral. That was the first time I'd actually experienced being neutral. And by the way, neutrality is another word for enlightenment. Because when you're neutral, nothing pushes your buttons. And you can actually go through things, and people can say things in normally upsetting situations, just like, oh.
Can
right?
I interject one thing though?
Yes, anytime you like.
Where neutrality is sometimes misunderstood though, is during forgiveness. And that is that if there's someone that's hurt you and you feel neutral about them, quite often that means the forgiveness hasn't gone deep enough yet. You want to forgive deep enough, you need to go all the way through to love. So that's the one thing that just came up for me when you said, because neutrality is exactly, you're right, you know, happiness is a quiet mind. It's a peaceful mind. It's a mind that's in neutrality, that's just observing. So I completely agree. But it's just the place where I find it gets misused is if I say to someone, oh, you know, you need to forgive your father, and they're like, oh, I'm neutral about it. It's like, that for me is a red flag, you know?
Well, unless they really are neutral, then it is a red flag, because you remember that the ego mind is very, very sneaky. It will want to say it's forgiven, and the ego mind can never forgive. The only part of us that can forgive is our true self. So on that level, yes, right. So by the way, neutrality, we use the word empowered neutrality, because empowered neutrality is where you forgive the programs that are running, not the person. And it's a very different thing.
I can feel the difference with the wording. Just adding the empowered neutrality, it literally is showing me like guardians of the universe wearing robes. Like, it's like serious.
Yes, exactly.
There's a different power in that.
Yeah, it's the enlightened guru energy, that rock energy, isn't it? And then unity. I actually felt one with every person. I was that doctor. I was the nurses. I was the other patients. I was everyone. And then I was very mindful of what was going on inside of me, my emotions. And that was the very first time that I actually lived a platinum life for a few hours, because I've just gone through, and this is the password, by the way, in our book, and it's peace, love, awareness, trust, integrity, neutrality, unity, and mindfulness. And
Beautiful.
and it's platinum, and I'm going, wow, hang on a minute. This is the state that I want to live in all of my life, because as I'm dying, my true self has just taken center stage. The ego mind is like well and truly obliterated in that moment, and I'm exactly where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So it was that experience that was like, okay, this is the ideal. Obviously, when I woke up after that surgery that saved my life, I was in a very pain-filled, trashed out body, and I was one angry 18-year-old, I can tell you. It's like, what the hell is going on? What is this, right? Mm-hmm. And so
I think I was 25 through to 24 through to sort of 27, 28 was my thing, where I had ovarian cyst bursting, but I also had a kidney infection. And when the ovarian cyst burst, they did surgery on it, a laparotomy, because the doctor wasn't very clever, so it should have been keyhole. She left an infection inside, and 6 months later, no one understood why I was still in pain. I fell pregnant. They did a scan, and they said, oh, you're pregnant, but you also have a cyst the size of a watermelon. And then the baby died. I would have died had I gone ahead with the pregnancy. And then when they did the surgery, they found that I didn't have a cyst the size of a watermelon. It was actually my organs. All my organs were joined together. My ovary was connected to my rib. My bowel was connected to like the back of my kidney. It took 6 hours to take it all apart. So there's some connection between both of us in that the attack was happening on our ovary, and that since my enlightenment in 2011, I've never had a peep since, and both my ovaries are fine.
Yeah. Well, you know, I discovered eventually, you probably will too, that the whole thing was a past life. It was like a past life that had been activated, and it played out in the body. And the body was remembering what had happened. And I mean, this is probably a bit way out, but
we can
in another lifetime, at the age of 18, I was a high priestess. And I fell in love with the wrong person and became pregnant. And the high priests took me and actually cut my bowel and my womb in half, took the baby out and sewed it back up again to keep me. And I actually now have a bifurcated womb in this lifetime as well.
What does bifurcated mean?
It means the womb, instead of looking like that, is like two sides. There's two sides.
Yeah. I think maybe something similar happened with me, but I'd need someone who specializes in that to tell me, because I have a reverse uterine. So
yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just means for all of us, when the body starts doing things, there's a thought process that has been triggered off, that has had a lot of emotion around it, and we've made a lot of decisions around it, and the body still has the memory of it. Yeah. That's why it's so important to work in the unconscious mind. Like surface stuff is not enough.
No.
So bringing you to fast forward now to about 22 years ago, because that was like, 40 something years ago, almost 50, bringing you to fast forwarding to 22 years ago, I was channeling a beautiful divine energy in a big group of women. And there was one man in the room, apart from Daniel, and he had his arms wrapped around this woman sitting up the back opposite me. And when this beautiful being had finished talking, he would always say, has anybody got any questions for me? And this man shot his arm up and said, I have. And he said, what is the greatest gift that I can give my beloved? And every woman in the room went, oh, I want to be his beloved. and so what shocked me was, because I'm a conscious channel, like everything comes through me. I'm right there, which is a brilliant thing because I'm getting the learning and the experience at the same time.
Yes.
So
Yeah, kind of the same, but mine are just junior angels that do moonies occasionally. So they, you know, they're not exactly in the robes being like, you know, they're the lowest rank, but I just hear them all day long.
So it's not the beloved Jesus, Ananda, Maitreya.
I mean, God and Jesus occasionally, but most of the time it's these little buggers.
Because when he comes in, he just stops the whole room dead. But anyway, so what came out of my mouth and the answer that that was given to this man was, the greatest gift that you can give your beloved, and in fact the entire world, is your own wholeness. So that when she or anyone else looks into your eyes, they see their wholeness looking back at them.
Beautiful.
In other words,
Beautiful.
when they look into your eyes, they're not seeing the judgment or feeling themselves being less than. That your wholeness is needed to actually affect and you know, be in part. So for me to be in partnership with anyone and to love anyone, when I see you and I stand in front of a group in my live events or you know, in our programs, I almost cry every time. Lindsay will attest to this. She's probably seen me cry a few times because I am so overwhelmed.
I did the second you got on. The second you got on and I spoke about Lindsay, I could like see my eyes. I was like, oh God, already.
Yeah, and what that is, sweetheart, is it's like your whole beingness acknowledging the presence of more love, of more of who you are, right? And that's the thing. Like I look at the people in front of me and I go, oh my God, you are so beautiful. You are me. You know, I'm just looking at me in all of these other bodies. Like I'm looking at you and I'm going, there I am with my hair in braids, with my little cherubs, and there I am, right? And so for me, it's like there is no separation between you and me and everyone on this call. And to actually understand that that's the truth and that's reality, boy. And the fact is that if I haven't spent decades understanding that enlightenment was going to end suffering, but wholeness was that thing beyond enlightenment that actually brought us into the unity of all life, then I wouldn't be able to reflect the wholeness back to you. Yeah. And for me, that's the most important gift you can give your beloved is you know, free and clear of your unconscious crap, you know, really, really in a place where you go, wow, I know I have a slip in my magnificence. I know I go into judgment when I'm not, you know, careful. I know I'm slipping in the consciousness level, but I also know that I can catch myself doing it and change it immediately. So Absolutely. You can see, yeah, wholeness is so important.
I think that a few things came up for me, and that was that beloved, as in to give your beloved, we have to be first of all our own beloved. So it was almost like that's what you give yourself. And often when I hear people, this is not people normally as advanced as the ladies on here, but when I hear people talking about, oh, well, these people need to do this and that person needs to do that. And I'm like, honey, the best thing you could do is work on you. Like, because only you can work on you. Imagine it's like a car and you're only allowed to work on your own car. No one else is allowed to do it. Even if me and Sandra want to work on your car for you and we're literally standing there handing you the oil and holding the manual, and we still can't actually touch it and do it. That's your subconscious work has to be done by you. That was the other thing that came up. And then enlightenment for me means putting the ego into a state of stasis is what my angels are calling it now. Exactly. It's always been called, until now, it's always been called like, when someone goes in a coma or someone's anesthetized for an operation, that's how they've always referred to it. But now you're here, they're saying it's a state of stasis.
Yeah, because I actually got the word stasis before you said it. It was like, oh, there.
Yeah, you sent it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's exciting about this? So everybody who's with us today, there's a way that you can do that with your ego mind. And because the challenge with the ego mind is we don't want to kill a part of us. Wholeness is important. That's when I understood that wholeness is about bringing every aspect of who we are together, right? So that means your soul has to choose to be in an enlightened place, to be listening to your true self, not the ego. But then the ego has to choose to actually settle down and take a back seat and to learn. So what we created in our book, we said, listen, imagine if every one of us was born with an ego puppy. Now, by the way, I spent a couple of hours with 2 brand new puppies yesterday. They're only 5 days old, and the woman, and at 5 months old, and she already had them doing sit down, lay down.
Oh, I
roll.
wish. Look at this
five-
this little boy's being a good boy for you, but I'm telling you, he is a terror. He's a terror.
Guess why? Because you're a heavenly terror, babe.
I am.
Wow, it's gorgeous. So, you know, these puppies, she had trained them already to do these wondrous things for her because she didn't want them running around messing up the house and everything. And I realized that, yeah, that's what we have to do with our egos. Pretend your ego mind is a puppy. It's going to say and do things, and it is definitely going to piddle and poop over you and everybody else at times. But if you're training it, it'll start to get the message, oh, hang on a minute, I do need to sit and stay and listen and learn, because when I do, it feels really good, right? It feels, but when I muck up, okay, I know I'm separating myself from love. I'm separating myself from each other. I'm being naughty. I'm being a bitch. You know, people don't like me in that state. My frequency, by the way, when you're not training your ego mind, your frequency is right down here. But when you're training your ego mind, your vibration and frequency goes right up here. And the aim of the game, for the soul to actually choose to evolve and grow and come home to God and love, it needs to know it's safe. And it's only a high frequency vibrational field that lets the soul know it's safe. Because I can tell you the soul's being hijacked by the ego mind, and it feels unsafe most of the time. How many of you have actually felt unsafe, anxious, worried, depressed? You know what that is? That's your soul going, what the hell is going on? And it's brought into the ego mind programming.
It's listening and believing the ego, you know.
You got it.
And the thing is that I think that this is what's so interesting as well. Both of us have gotten to the same place through different routes. And we have different ways and analogies of teaching it. And that's what's so special, because I have a little bit of a tougher stance on the ego. I'm kind of like, you know, the ego is, it's born through thoughts of separation from God. It's not your friend. Let's starve it. Let's remove all of the subconscious negative emotions that it's feeding on. And let's do a deep forgiveness. Let's forgive things you don't even think you needed to forgive. Let's do ancestral clearing. Let's clear it all out. And then you're educated about it. You've taken away its food, and it basically has no choice but to sit in the corner and sulk. And that's
exactly. I love that. I love it, because we are saying the same thing, right? You have to be tough. You have to become a master trainer. You've got to train it. And by the way, you do have to take away its food. And the food in this case is definitely the unconscious events, emotions, and decisions that we don't even know are there. And that's why it's so hard for people. How do you train something that you don't even know it's there?
Oh, but worse still, Sandra, something that's been there since you were born. So it's always been a part of you. So how do you separate something that's always been a part of you from you?
Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
You've never known it not being there. So the biggest step is realizing it's not you, and understanding you're the silent observer, and that you have this direct connection to God through your higher self. But you also have this ego, and everyone in humanity has the ego. If anyone says they don't have an ego, they're lying. Everyone has one. It's just that some, like myself and Sandra's, is, like I said, sitting in the corner like this. It can't do much. It's a bit stuck, you know?
Well, and that's where the ego belongs, by the way. But
yes,
the thing is the ego mind really has a hold with the unconscious mind. And so that's the reason why it's so important to use your intuition to access and unlock the unconscious mind, so that you can step into the power and the wonder of who you really are. And all the work that we do for humanity is simply about empowering people to unlock their intuition, get into the unconscious mind, and do what it takes to clear it out and to become free, like this high frequency being that we already are, you know.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
We're already happy. We're already happy. We're already at peace. Our minds are quiet. We've just got this ego thing we got to sort out. Once you sort it out, life is a lot easier, you know, and that is it. That's exactly it. Because once we are free, it's like I was saying the other day, you know, and I think this is the thing. We've developed our language so that we can get the message across the different crowds. Like the one that seemed to resonate a lot with people was that we have 2 GPSs. One is leading us the right way, but it's really quiet. One of them's leading us the wrong way, and it's really, 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 really loud. And so the problem is that if you've got both of them playing, no wonder most of humanity are wandering around confused and lost. But it is possible to turn this one all the way down so it just makes the occasional beep. It's possible.
Exactly. Well, it's absolutely the most important thing that you can do, right? Developing a really strong connection to your true self, which is the silent GPS at the moment. I love the way you're saying that. Developing that strong connection to that. There's nothing more important to do, because your true self, and I think you call it your higher self, the real you absolutely knows that it's not going to say and it knows it's not going to say something that's going to hurt other people deliberately. It's not going to judge itself. It is one with love and God. And so therefore you become this divine high frequency being, and the more you get yourself into that place, the more whole and complete you feel. Your whole life, your level of abundance, you know, your level of your relationships, everything changes. And then you begin to use your intuition like you, sweetheart, where you're going, oh, hang on, I've really got this whole gaggle of angels here and little cherubs and fairies, and I've got this cheeky, wondrous, fun connection that I'm going to share with the world, right? And for me, it was like, I think it was, when I was 3, I had these divine beings start talking to me, and one of them called himself Jesus, and it was just the most incredible experience. But it was about 25 years ago. It took me 4 days to actually integrate this beautiful group called the Ancients, and they said that they're the first energy from God, and they're all of these high vibrational divine beings, but they come together as one. And it took 4 days of shaking.
A chorus. My angels just said a chorus.
A chorus of beings, right? And this really high frequency divine light council of beings. And truly, what the information I got was that I'm the bunny in the body, which that's why I said you are that too, right? We're the bunnies in the bodies. What we've agreed to do is we've agreed to come back in this lifetime and to be the conduit for them, and in other lifetimes we're them and someone else comes into the body. So you can't this is something that's very important, you can't bring through more, other than what you are. So, unless you're vibrating at that angelic field, you're not going to be bringing through angelic realm, right? If you're not vibrating and you're not at this ancient's divine, this frequency being, I'm not going to be bringing it through. I'm going to be bringing through something else.
Yes.
Because it can only bring through where you're at and what you are. And if you think about it, in the process of enlightenment and wholeness, we have spent many, many lifetimes doing the homework with a focus, and we're diligent. There isn't anything else. I remember, I think I was 20 something, I was driving to Melbourne to see an enlightened being from India, and I got the message, well, what would you give up to be an enlightened being? And it was like, everything. There was not even a nanosecond before I said everything. And on a lot of levels, like you've had the 4 years of sickness and you've had a lot of other things, on a lot of levels, I have had to give up everything constantly.
Oh, yeah. And it's a constant. As of Christmas Eve, they told me to give up alcohol on Christmas Eve. So as of Christmas Eve for 90 days, up until I think March 17th, I'm not allowed any alcohol.
Well, you're lucky it was only 90 days. I think that's congratulations.
Well, it was just out of the blue. There was something important that they did just want to say. They keep doing this. They hold on. What was it? There was something important that you was just saying.
They're having so much fun.
I know. There was something. This was it. I kind of want to say it, but then get your opinion on it as well and your advice on it. And that is that we're talking about wholeness, and that, you know, doing the work on yourself is the most important thing. There's quite a lot of women that have been born gifted, that have, you know, strong intuitions, and you know, they are born gifted, but they've done part of the work and they're already teaching. But the problem is they're not whole, and they're not, so they can't help these women. If you're not whole, you can't help another woman become whole. And so I'm always wary of saying to guys, you know, make sure you really research anyone that you follow or that you work with, that you do programs or coaching or whatever with, because there's so many women that have just done this much of the race, and they only really know that bit of the map. And so you're going to them for the this to this, but there's very few of us. Myself and Sandra have done it, and we know of a few people that have done it, but it's so few people that can take you from here to here. What's your advice about that? Because I'm sure it breaks your heart too when you see it, that there's women, you know, investing in with people and receiving advice from people, and I feel like they're getting some of that energy from the other realm, but the lower other realm, the one where we don't draw from.
Yeah. Well, let me put it to you. Let me give you another perspective. Okay. And that is that everybody is drawn to the teacher as to where they're at in the moment. So the people who are teaching just this much, they're going to have people come to them who are only ready for that much. And when they're ready for more, they'll find the teacher who can take them to the next level, and then the teacher who can take them to the next level.
That's so true, because a lot of the women that come to me have already done so much.
That's exactly right, sweetheart. So this is the thing that's really, those people are doing exactly what they're meant to be doing, and the people coming to them are doing exactly what they're meant to be doing with them. And when they're ready, they're all going to move into the next space.
It's
and
preparation.
The teachers will too, right? Hopefully the teachers will get to the next space too. But I found that the people who come and work with us in our live events, even the new ones who haven't done any work at all, the majority of them have done a lot. They know they're ready for the big shift. They know they're ready to have something that they're not going to get anywhere else in the world. And they go, okay, I'm ready for this. And there's a lot of tears, and there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of having to really realign your thoughts, your perspectives, everything, because we don't give you the same perspective on anything that anyone else does. Like my private clients, they invest $120,000 a year to work with me, and they just go, whoa, you're taking me to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like I can't even think the same way. I can't lie to you. I can't. You know, and they're getting $1 million ideas in their calls, and they're moving their businesses beyond where they thought possible. But that's because they've already done a lot too, right? So every teacher is teaching the people who are ready just for them. And so then it'll stop breaking your heart, because you'll go, oh, there's an order to this.
Well, I guess what was concerning me was just watching ladies that I know are not healed preaching that they're healed and that they can help people, and I'm like, I don't know if they can help you the way you want them to help you, you know, when I can see that the teacher themselves probably needs to come and do some work, you know.
But yet they do actually need to do more work. We all do. Look, you look at someone like Jack Canfield. I'm a member of the Transformational Leadership Council. This is like the council of all of the top people in this country and around the world. We get together twice a year to play and swap, you know, our being a peer group. And I can tell you that a lot of them need a lot of work still, and so do I. Daniel and I work on each other every single day. We're clearing up programs, we're meditating, we're praying. We don't stop.
It's so true. Me and Pardis, who we're going to be starting a live that's going to be every Monday. She's amazing, and she's so grateful to have found me and for me to have found her, because she is where I am vibrationally, and my angels talk to her angels, and it's actually a bit annoying because my angels keep telling me to move to LA, and now they've started telling her to tell me through her, and I'm like, can everyone just give me a break right now? It's like
exactly. And you know what, the great thing about the current situation in the world, what I'm finding is, as global teachers, it doesn't matter where we live, because where we live, look at us. I'm in Marina Del Rey. Where are you?
I'm in Atlanta, but I'm from London. But my angels have got it in their head that I have to go to LA soon, and it's really important. I think there's some energetic stuff that's going to happen or something. But
when God says jump, we say how high.
Exactly. It's just funny that, you know, my angels are like in the movie Ghost, where they'll just sing and sing if I don't do what they want. Well, now Yeah, no, seriously.
No, I understand. I'm laughing because I go through this same thing.
Yeah, well, it happens to Pardis too, but now they're actually telling her messages for me that I already know. I'm like, yeah, I know that in September. Yeah, I'm already doing that. No, I know, like this. And so she's getting the same messages and vice versa. And it's just, yeah, it's interesting times. And that's what's so amazing about this community, because this community I've created, it's like, it gives you people that you can relate with, you know, and so the blessing for me is with doing these lives is finding people I can relate with, and then someone like yourself who my angels can bow to. Like, that's all because of this community. So we're all getting so much out of it, you know.
Well, the thing is, even if and this is what I've come to understand, when you're in this place of wholeness, even if you don't say one word, just by this high frequency presence and beingness, and just by being able to look at you and to look at the people who are on this, you would be getting a high frequency shift without one word. And the fact is that the words are just giving your mind something to rest on, whilst your soul goes, oh, okay, now I know what home feels like. It feels like this. It feels safe and beloved. And so that's the reason why people work with us too. It's that here I am, I'm home now. You know, Daniel and I could be sitting in a room and people will get up from the front of the room and walk all the way back to us and just go, what is it? What's going on? And they've felt the energy from up there. I mean, I'll tell you a quick fun story that your angels will totally love. It's in Codebreaker, our new book, and it's called Love in the Shower. And Daniel and I had only just met, and I was having a shower. He was up the other end of the room, a long way away. And I walked in and I turned the water on, and the minute the water came out, it was over. I had a full oneness enlightenment experience, and I disappeared. The whole physical beingness disappeared, and I just became the water, pure love. I know I had water streaming out of my eyes, my nose, everywhere. And it was like, okay, it was the most phenomenal experience because, and luckily I wasn't afraid because I had had this experience before, but it was the water and me were one. There was nothing else. There was only God. There was only love. I knew in that moment that if it's not love, it's not real.
Yes.
So everything else that's not love is just a story. That's a big one for everybody listening. If it's not love, it's a story. And so I don't even know, because I didn't have a hand. I don't know how I turned the water off, and I don't know how I pushed the door open and went out. But the minute I stepped out, Daniel walked into the room and he was sobbing, and he knelt down in front of me and put his arms around me and put his head on my stomach, and he said, I just felt these waves of unbelievable love wash over my whole being, and I just followed it to you, to hear it to its source. And he was in that same state, and then we both became this one, and we were whole and complete in that moment. And again, I'm going to say again, if it's not love, it's not real.
Exactly.
So when you have these experiences, and the idea of working with us, with teachers like us, is that you get to have these enlightenment experiences where you go, oh, that's what they're talking about. Oh, that's what they mean. Like if Lindsay was on here now, because she's done 2 of our live events, she knows that we put our hands on everybody's heads and we give them a transmission of this divine energy that changes the way the brain functions, activates the pineal gland, and all of a sudden you're having these enlightenment experiences without drugs.
Yes.
And so you get to lie down and let this experience, move through you and beyond you as you, and all of a sudden you go, oh, this is the state I'm meant to be living in. This is where I belong.
Sorry, my angels just said they want to lower the tone a minute. Okay. So to lower the tone, when she just said feeling enlightenment without drugs, they just said, well, Amelia, that's why you were high on weed for about 3 years, because you understood what peace via weed felt like. So that then when you became enlightened, you were like, I don't need weed because I'm like this all the time. So it's a natural, it's literally like the feeling when you're high on weed, except you just wake up like it and it's just there all the time. And so my angels thought that was quite funny, and they're now just showing like a little funny thing with a big spliff. They're like, haha. They're not really smoking it, they're just being silly. But they're just saying, yeah, for anyone that doesn't realize that, true enlightenment and wholeness feels even better than the high that you get from any of the things in the 3D world.
Anything, yeah. And real love, like the love that is the energy, not the emotion, nothing feels like that. And so I'm just giving you a couple of little points that when you remember that if it's not love, it's not real, you're in a story and it's taking you out of your own, you know, high vibrational field. And when it does that, you go, hang on a minute, I know what to do now. I know I just need to focus back into my heart, take a few deep breaths and understand the truth of who I am. And once you keep doing that, and I think keep remembering that you're enough and that the person that this love needs to be directed to is you, so that when you look at anyone else, they feel that love. They understand, oh, wholeness. So this is what it is. It's the alignment of the body, the mind, and the soul together. It's not one being a spiritual, you know, I'm going to say a spiritual space cadet out there all the time, forgetting about the body. It's not somebody just totally focused on the body. It's not, you know, it's like the whole thing gets grounded together and it feels so good to be alive. It just, and that's the feeling, that's why you're doing the work and why I'm doing the work. It's because we know that it's our job and we've actually put in for this.
Yes.
Actually, whilst any sentient being is suffering, it's our job to be here.
Yes.
And to find the ways that people relate to, as us as teachers, that end suffering for them.
Yes. And that's it. It's not like there's a choice. There's not like there's an option. It's just do your job. And I'll put, and because it's Sandra, I'll just, the angels are putting a thingy across their mouth. They said, do your effing job.
Yeah, you know, when I was your age, that was my favorite word.
They think swear words are really funny. They just think the whole 3D is really funny. And the thing is, I have to be careful though, because they're not aware of how tiring it can be in 3D. And like, you know, sometimes they'll have me on phone calls for like 8.5 hours, and then they're like, oh, and now speak to Pardis and tell her this. I'm like this. I'm like, I haven't got the strength in here. I just like here need to break.
So I want to just mentor you for a minute, because my spiritual mentor would be slapping me around if she thought that I was doing 8 hours straight on a call with somebody.
Not an individual, back to back, different people.
Yeah, no, she would just say that's too much, and you actually have to. One is either put your prices up and do less.
Oh no, this was because my mother had been visiting for 2 weeks, and so I booked all my calls for this one day, and then I had all this outside spiritual stuff that I had to do as well as the things that were booked, and I was just like, oh my God.
Well, don't do that again, darling. My spiritual mentor would be slapping you around, but she probably is right now. And she's going, no.
My angels just did that sharp intake of breath that they did when I was on the phone with you before. They went, they're a bit, whoever yours is, they're really scared of her. They're like, please don't mention her again.
Yeah. No, she's tough stuff. And I was very lucky to work with her for 40 years. You know, I would end up at her house when I was going through lots of things, and she'd open the door and she said, not you again, go home. And then she'd look at my face and go, oh, all right, come in. And, you know, in the beginning, but when you have a mentor, and this is the thing, find yourself a woman mentor, because I've had 2 of the most insanely strong women mentor me, and you are loved like you've never known before. They have your back, they support you like no one else can, and they actually give it to you straight. And that's the thing that we all need. That's why people would love you. I know it's why people love me. And even at times when they go, oh, did she really say that?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like we were talking about that in my live yesterday. Like Alicia, who's now my coach, who does the majority of the coaching, and she's my business partner now. We did our first discovery call a year ago, and in the discovery call I said, you're going to run my business in the future. And now a year later, she's running my business. But she's very intimidating, and very, in terms of the fact that she's just so strong and she's so intelligent, you know, and she's so alpha, and she just doesn't mess around. And when I was coaching her and getting her to this state, though, to get her there, Oh Lord, there was a few nervous moments where I had to be like, you know, I had to make her think and talk and do things she didn't want to do. And then I have another client who, again, is a couple of years older than me, who is a Cambridge graduate, ex-entertainment lawyer that's now a sex coach, who's so intelligent and so strong, and she lifts weights and everything. And I've had to do the same thing with her too. So I've definitely had them, but have I found anyone that can do that with me yet? Not as such. And I don't know. It's kind of like I'm in such a good space, but I guess we just see there's so much transition about to happen in terms of what's going on and what I'm being guided to do. So I guess it'll be interesting to see how everything works out.
Yeah, exactly. And so just, you know, make sure that all of you do what I have done and have your mentors. I mean, my mentors at the moment are definitely in the other realms.
I was going to say, my angels just said Jesus. They just said it's Jesus, really. Oh, and Biggie, the rapper.
That's not a bad mentor to have.
and B.I.G., the rapper. It's Jesus and Biggie.
Great. Why not? Well, this is like, honestly, this is just so exciting. And I think, you know, on Friday, we've got a free energy masterclass that we're doing. And I think what I should do for you, darling, is I'll give you the link so that if anybody here would love to come on, Daniel and I are actually going to spend like an hour and a half really going through some beautiful teaching points, giving a transmission of energy, and we're going to be giving some corrections of the unconscious. So you'll get to know what it feels like to get free. And I think that's a really important thing. You know, when you have these corrections, it's like, oh, okay, it's a rapid transformation.
Yes. Yes, yes, and that's the thing, guys. That's the reason why we're doing this. All I want for everybody is for everybody to feel at peace, for everyone to be happy, for everyone to be healed, and for everyone to be whole. So, you know, things like this, you know, Lindsay is a direct contact of Sandra's, so everybody should be following Lindsay. That's the California coordinator. Everyone should be following Sandra. Obviously, everyone's following me, and if you're not, following myself too. And the thing is that details of this, you know, you can give me the link. I can put that up too. We can encourage everybody to take part. And again,
well, it'd be lovely because you'll be like, there's an energetic thing. Once I'm working with people, and I'm working with you right now, and with that. And the fact is that the ancients were kind of laughing when you said, I haven't found my mentor yet. And they said, well, she's sitting right in front of you, you know.
Well, yeah, well, you remember what they said during our call, though. They just said, what did they say? They said that I'm to be your protege.
That's right. And that's what I'm getting now. It's like there's this, my brain is doing this, and these energies are right down hunkered deep in here for this call for you guys. So you obviously are a very special group, because this doesn't happen on all.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. This is magic. It's magic. Yeah, like the ladies really here, it's magic.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's almost like I could just sit here and say nothing.
Drink tea. And we could just sit here and breathe.
Yes.
If we want.
It's beautiful. So I'm not sure how much longer you want us to go for. I mean,
well, we have 6 minutes till we're cut off. So do you want to tell everybody about the event that you have in March?
Oh, exactly. So on the 27th to the 29th of March, the last 3 days, we've got, it's called Activate Enlightenment, of course. And during that event, you're going to actually move beyond anywhere where you thought. You'll actually learn the entire platinum system, but more importantly, you'll learn what undermines it. So you'll learn the peace, and you'll feel it, know it, have a transmission of it, get activated to it, but you'll also know what it feels like to be in the opposite of it, which is unforgiveness. So you'll know about fear. You'll learn, the 3 days is you'll get to know the entirety of platinum, and it's a system that you'll use for the rest of your life. So let's just say, I'm going to feel worried, anxious, sad, and you'll go, oh, hang on, I know that. That's just I've lost connection to trust. So you just do what it takes to get back into trust. So you use the system to change your state instantly, over and over again. In other words, no more suffering. When you start to suffer, when you start to feel like, you know, like you're challenged, you just go, what is this? I'm in fear. Okay. what I've lost connection to love, right? So you'll learn a system that you can use for the rest of your life. You'll become a quantum time traveler and do 8 quantum time travels where you'll discover for yourself. This is you telling them, remember, they do the work. They've got to work on their car. So you'll become a quantum time traveler where you'll go back in time and you will discover the events, emotions, and decisions that are sabotaging you now, right? And then we'll actually be correcting out those programs, reprogramming them, recoding them, and so that you're now free and clear of that. So the whole weekend you're getting cleared out of anything that's sabotaging you to do with platinum. You're learning a system, you're getting transmissions of energy, and you're being activated. The transmissions of energy, by the way, there's about 5 of us that put our hands on your head. When we've done that, you have to go to the floor. So you bring a yoga mat, blanket, pillow. You go to the floor for about 20 minutes and you just let this whole activation move beyond you, where you have these beautiful, beautiful experiences. So you get to experience what it feels like to be in that enlightened state. So your whole body, by the time you leave, your body goes, oh, I know this state. So then when you meditate on your own in your own home, you can go to that state easily, right? So it's an easy transition. But the teaching in it is phenomenal. I get blown away every time. We bring everybody up to the front of the room. We go into what their unconscious programs are. Everybody in the room gets the benefit of that. And it is, I don't know, I feel blessed that this actual 3-day event was given to us, how to do it, what to do, the frequency that it had to be at. It's really quite phenomenal. So if you're ready to take the next step, it's almost like, don't come if you're not ready to go to the next level.
That's what I have to say, you know, with my clients, because obviously with my clients, it's over the phone and they're everywhere. There's South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. It's all over the phone. And it's like, you're going to change forever. And you couldn't go back to the old you if you do, you know, even if you wanted to. And in 6 weeks, literally, you're changed forever. And so this is the thing, guys, you know, nobody can say that the information isn't out there. We're here, we're right in front of you. You know, there's going to be this teaching on Friday. There's the event at the end of March in California where you can actually be in person with Sandra. For myself, you can book a free call right now, and me or my coach Alicia will speak with you next week, and we will actually go through and put together a plan and a strategy for you so that you can actually finish your healing and actually have the tools to stay in that space. And this is the thing, you know, it's available. Now, yes, you do have to invest in yourself, but for the Friday event, that's something free that she's giving to the world. And the same with my free calls. It's a free call. You get to speak with somebody that can take you where you want to go. And then you just have to decide whether that's where you want to go. It's really up to you.
Well, we know that the soul wants to go there. The only thing stopping you is the ego mind. The only thing that says no to investing in yourself is the ego mind. The thing that is screaming yes is your soul. Yeah. And by the way, that Activate Enlightenment 3-day event is also in Australia, in Melbourne, May 1st to 3rd. So for all your Aussies and...
Oh, we've got a lot of them. We'll speak because we'll get everything organised, Sandra, like we said, right. You know, because she wants me to kind of... So if any of you guys are interested in this, you can let myself and Lindsay know and know that it came through the community. So everybody that comes from Empress Evolution, I think she's going to treat you extra special. So make sure...
Without doubt.
Yeah. Make sure you let her know if you're an Empress Evolution member, because she's going to be providing me like a list of all the girls that have come along or whatever. So...
Of course.
Excellent.
I've loved being with you and all of you. Just please know how amazing you are and that you are loved and loved.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I love you, I love you, I love you. And that is for Sandra. And I love you, I love you, I love you for everybody that's watching. And we will come off just before they cut us off. But let's speak soon, Sandra, and let's do this again.
Please do. Love to. Love to.
Definitely. Take care. Bye-bye.